Okay, is it important which day of the week we take a Sabbath? This has been a question on my mind lately. Even the Sabbath generally, I've been thinking about lately. So I'm still in progress. You're joining me on my journey. I have not, explored everything yet. But some of the things that have been sticking out to me lately is how I would not be surprised. I have not actually looked this up, but just from reading through the Bible and how often God talks about his Sabbath has just been sticking out to me. I would not be surprised if the Sabbath is mentioned more than any of the other 10 commandments throughout the Bible. And it's so interesting that as Christians, we tend to think all of the other commandments still apply except for the Sabbath. It's just interesting. We are really bad at keeping a Sabbath, and I think oftentimes we use the excuse of, well, every day should be a Sabbath, or don't judge somebody based on whether there's a verse that talks about not judging people based on new moons and Sabbaths and things like that. And for Jesus, every day was a Sabbath. He was constantly doing the will of the Father and living in eternity. And I think that's part of what the Sabbath is meant to be, is it as a delight for us. Like, the Sabbath was created for man, not man for the Sabbath. So people use that verse to say we don't need to celebrate the Sabbath anymore. That I don't think that's actually true. I think it's saying that really the Sabbath is meant to be something that we look forward to, and it's a little sliver of eternity where we are just focused on connecting with God, focused on connecting with others, focused on doing what pleases Him, and getting a little slice of eternity where we're not toiling and we're not stressing out about everything that we need to do. We're not arguing with people. We are enjoying God, enjoying each other, resting. And so yeah, it's just a time to reflect on God and remember that we are made for more than this. We are built for eternity, really. And so Sabbath is important. It's one of the 10 commandments. And then within Christianity, we say that the day is not important. So I've been reflecting on that. And for several years, I've been trying to work out when would be the best day to take the Sabbath. Because it's on Sundays a lot of times after church. I want to go grocery shopping and do laundry and get ready for the week and cook and things like that. And then, but then if I take Saturday as my Sabbath, then really I only have a half day on Sunday to work because church fills up half of it. I don't know. It's just been something that I've been struggling with for years, actually, is when do we take a Sabbath? When should I take a Sabbath? And I've tried different days. And anyway, more recently, I've been challenged, convicted about the day in particular, and is it important for it to be Friday night through Saturday? And recently, the question was posed, like, if we claim to follow Jesus, why don't we do what he did? Why aren't we living as he lived? I mean, he kept the Sabbath on Friday night through Saturday. Why aren't we doing that? Um, and his disciples did that as well. And for them, it wasn't, any day of the week. They were following the Jewish customs and Jewish tradition, and they were keeping the Sabbath on Friday night and Saturday. So that's an interesting question, why we wouldn't follow Jesus in that way. And then today I was talking with some people, and not even regarding the Sabbath, somebody just brought up I forget even what the context of the conversation was, but someone brought up manna in the wilderness and how God provided extra manna on the sixth day that would last the sixth and the seventh day, because on the seventh day they were to rest. And I was thinking that this actually supports this idea of it being important which day we take the Sabbath, because God didn't provide manna every day and tell them, hey guys, it's important to rest, but you can rest whenever you want. No, he actually very specifically gave extra manna on the sixth day, no manna on the seventh day, and he was upset at the people who did not believe him and tried to go out and find manna on the seventh day. He's like, I told y'all it wouldn't be here. And so to me, that's an indication that it does matter which day of the week that we're taking, that it matters to God. And something else that got brought up this evening as I was talking with some friends is how every day, so this is a bit complicated, but okay, so we know the biblical feasts are all being fulfilled by Jesus. Either they have been or they will be. So the spring feasts have already been fulfilled by his first coming. Passover was Jesus' death. The Feast of First Fruits was his resurrection. And Pentecost initially was God writing the law down on tablets of stone. And then for us, the fulfillment of that was the Holy Spirit writing on our hearts and the Holy Spirit indwelling us. And so spring feasts have been fulfilled. The fall feasts are going to be fulfilled with his second coming. So all the feasts are fulfilled by Jesus. What about the Sabbath? It would make sense that the Sabbath would be as well. And that was what I was talking with my friend about tonight, is this idea of a day is like 1,000 years. And so it is theorized that the millennial reign will actually be within the seventh day since the creation of the world. So creation of the world, and then according to scholars, Jesus would have died around 4,000 years after the creation of the world, which would correspond to the start of the fifth day, which is when the fish and the birds would have been created. So life is starting to be created other than the plants. And then also birds, the Holy Spirit is often represented by a dove. So it's just neat that the Holy Spirit came right at the beginning of that fifth day. And then for the past 1,000 years, it's been the sixth day, which is when man was created. And then at the end of the sixth day will be, so at the end of 6,000 years, which is, if Jesus died at 4,000 years, and then it's been about 2,000 years since he died. So we are approaching quickly the start of the seventh day, with 7,000 years, which when he returns will be the start of his millennial reign. So it's really neat how the Sabbath feasts that God ordained, I don't know if that's the right word, is going to be fulfilled by the millennial reign, which to me indicates again that the day that we celebrate it is actually important, because it's not just a day of rest to revitalize ourselves so that we can do work the rest of the days, but it is pointing to Jesus. It will be fulfilled by Jesus in the 1,000 years, and so it is actually important that we celebrate it when he tells us to, so that we can see Jesus' fulfillment of that. Anyway, so those are some of my thoughts that I've been having regarding the Sabbath and Shabbat, and it actually being important for it to be Friday night through Saturday night. Would love to hear your comments. I know this is a controversial topic within Christian circles, and it is something I'm exploring. So yeah, right now I'm leaning towards that being important. I wasn't as of a few days ago, maybe even yesterday. Yeah, so it's just I'm on this journey, and we'll see where we go.